Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from the Govardhan Echo Village, it is our Wisdom of the Sages Daily Yoga Podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host Kaustubha Das. And we are here reading, how's the Srimad Bhagavatam described today in class? We were just in class with Raghunath Swami.
I think he said it was the, did he say crown jewel?
Crest jewel of all Vedic wisdom, of all yogic knowledge, the very essence. And that's why we decided to make this our daily sadhana, our regular attendance on the Bhagavatam. Matter of fact, the great sage Vyasadeva, who compiled all the Vedic literatures, said, by regular attendance in just hearing the Bhagavatam, all that is troublesome to the heart becomes washed away. So that's what we're here for, getting rid of the troublesome things of the heart by hearing spiritual truths on a regular basis. We have our big group of online community who listen and have been for the last year or so. But starting 1/1, January 1st, we started from the beginning.
Yeah.
And we're going through the Bhagavatam from the first canto. We're in the first canto. There's 12 big, fat, juicy cantos. And the 10th canto is the most
Juiciest of them.
the juiciest of them all, because it's all the stories of the appearance of Lord Krishna. And so this is a whole book about the avatars of Lord Vishnu, especially the appearance of Lord Krishna in the 10th canto. And it's filled with everything from astronomy, deep philosophical truths, fantastic stories, saintly kings, the history of the universe, gods, demigods, goddesses,
cosmology,
higher
social
planets,
science,
lower planets, spiritual, outside the material world planets. So it's just sort of interesting and very relevant, which is why I think we appreciate it. Also very relevant, practical wisdom for how to direct your life so that you stay out of pain, which is sort of what we're all trying to avoid, pain in this world, and how to enhance the joy. And what is real joy and what is sort of like promises of joy, sort of fool's gold, so to speak.
fool's gold.
Fool's gold. You know what fool's gold is?
It's like some kind of gold-looking stuff that they pull out of the stream and think it's real gold.
They think it's real gold. Yeah, it's fool's gold. Material world is filled with fool's gold.
I learned that watching television.
I learned that watching Little House on the Prairie, I think.
It's fool's gold.
It's fool's
Take
gold.
a bite out of it.
It's not real gold. It's fool's gold. Material world is fool's gold. Yeah. It appears valuable, right? It appears attractive, right?
And like it's going to deliver that
some deep satisfaction.
Yeah.
And it sort of like cheats us. It cheats us. And sometimes you have to and sometimes we just bonk. Is that a word? Bonk? I bonk my head against the wall again and again, trying to make this, try to derive pleasure out of a material situation. And sometimes people do it all the time. They divorce, they change partners. I need a new partner. This partner's not giving me my pleasure. I need a new partner. I need a new city. I'm sick of this city. There's no fun in this city. I need a new sport, a new hobby, a new car. And the Bhagavatam pushes us, hey, it's not out there. The pleasure is actually in here. You don't have to actually go anywhere to connect with that pleasure. So this is our quest in deep connection. We're also on the quest. We're not above you. We're just students of this, and we're passionate about it. And it was very sweet. Maharaj was giving us all blessings today.
Raghunath Swami.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It was very nice.
Very nice.
Maharaj even called it the show.
He called it the show. I know.
I looked at you. He said, "Oh, you better get going because the show's going to start." And he said, "I snuck into your class the other day.
Hiding in the shadows."
I was hiding in the shadows because this room is very big and you can't sort of see in the back. The classes, the live students are all up front. And he says, Kaustubha, speaking so eloquently, so lucidly, and Raghunath with his analogy of a fly buzzing against the window. Bzz, 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 bzz.
You said Raghunath was like a modern artist.
I was like modern artist, which I don't like modern art, but
It was like a classical artist.
Yes.
And together, it's a good combination.
Together, it's nice. Anyway, honored to be here.
Me too.
Did we start yet? I can't even remember.
We haven't chanted our.
Om Namo Sip-
But we
Did
haven't.
we start the
chanted.
show?
We started the show.
Okay,
yeah.
all right, we're
We
going.
started-
We're going. Okay, we're rolling. Anyway, we are in a great section. This is one of my favorite parts of the Bhagavatam. Is chapter 2 of the first canto called Divinity and Divine Service. So we start by chanting these invocation mantras. By the way, I really want to, I was thinking, well, Raghunath Swami's giving class. I really wanted to thank all the Zoomers. That's you. The Zoomers are people listen on Zoom. And
That's live for people downloading the podcast, just so that they know we have a live audience on Zoom as we do this podcast.
this is live, yeah, live on Zoom, and then we have live. Live is their actual tangible bodies are in the room. We
And
can
the
touch
studio
them.
audience.
This is just, you guys are just live, sorry to say. But we have live, and we have just live. But I got appreciation for the just live. Hashtag just live. It's they show up regularly. All these people I know, like family members.
I can't even say how much it means to us that
Yeah.
so many people are become like our family, and they take part in this beautiful practice with us.
Yeah, I'm just hearing together. It's actually quite inspiring.
Actually, it would be much easier for us to do this as a podcast without the live audience, just technically. It'd be higher quality sound. We're always going to try to improve it and see what we can do, but it means so much to us to see you all come live and to be able to see your faces and to communicate with you and get to know you. And
That being said, if you got your name up on the board and not your living face, like moving, acting face,
let's see
let's see your face. It's easier for us to engage. Than just seeing the name up there. There we go. There's some face. There's Laura Rubino. She's on the. Yes. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
If you wanna,
if you'd like to join the live Zoom audience, please write to wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, and we'll send you all the information you need to tune in live.
There you go. Also, if you have any questions, wisdom108@gmail.com. You can write in your questions, and we can systematically answer them, or we can systematically ignore them. What?
We wouldn't do that.
We wouldn't do that. We just would choose. Okay. Anyway, we are grateful. And I love when people are live. Actually, can I see their bodies and they take their name off the screen? Then I see actually later we got Sean Murphy, the vegan truck. They're just plowing away on Route 80, driving across America.
Mm-hmm.
We have people doing workouts. Some people are doing a yoga class. Some people are just chilling out because they have
breakfast.
they have no kids. Some people are just wrestling with their child.
What's this person doing?
This person,
That's Sachi.
my daughter Sachi. She's
What is that,
making some
Sachi?
strange 3D thing going on, freaking me out. She's on an acid trip.
What's she doing back there?
Okay,
Cool.
All right, so let's say our invocation mantras. Sachi, you better learn this one. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi. Are you acting this out while I'm doing it?
I've heard sign language.
Unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha vadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyanatamunandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ah, my son Rocco's on the show too. Hey, Rocco.
Together or separate?
I think they're together. Look, I'm looking at a picture of Damodar, Swaroop, and Sachi and Rocco right there. Just thought I'd have to share that. That's nice. On the phone.
Rocco, good morning. Sachi, good morning.
So we are diving in.
Missing the two of them here.
I'm missing them here. It's not the same. I'm hoping they're going to be like, surprise, we're here. That's right. I was daydreaming that they're just going to show up. They're going to be my surprise. Life's quick, man. Life goes quick. We were teenage Brahma, or
We were
early
almost
20
their age at one point.
we were almost their age,
It
yeah.
seems like it was just
But we
yesterday.
met, like, we met when we were 15 or 16 in the streets of New York, and then brahmacharis at 22, living in an ashram at 22. And it's amazing how our bodies are crumbling and we're getting old now.
It's happening. They
Losing
said it
all
would
my
happen.
hair. That's it. Okay, so we're on text 21,
22.
20, 22.
20. What is it? 20.
We're going to have to go to our scribe for this. 20. Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness. So we spoke about yesterday how rendering service to the pure devotee, one develops attachment towards chanting,
Hearing.
and chanting. If you like hearing and chanting, you got to render service.
Then it'll come.
Then it comes. By rendering service, all that is troublesome to the heart starts to become destroyed. It starts to cleanse the heart, the scrubbing bubbles, we called it, like a scrub brush of the heart. And then the modes of passion and ignorance that are within us. In Kali Yuga, it's in us. We can't help that. We are in tamas and rajas. Plus, a lot of us live in the Western culture. Western culture is all about the promises of satisfaction. If you just go here and purchase this and meet him or her, it's a promise of satisfaction. It's like writing a bad check. You can't cash it. You can't cash that check. I just thought of that analogy. What do you think of that, Kaustubha?
I think it works. I think it works. That is practically the definition of rajas. Is we're always thinking happiness. I just need some more. I just need something that I don't have to be happy. That's Rajaguna. And all these things like the commercials and the other things that we've been exposed to that you're mentioning, they stir that up in us. Our minds become so completely colored by that. We're a little bit lost.
So spiritual culture means you put some guardrails up and you keep within the parameters of sattva,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We don't want to mess around with drugs, alcohol. We don't even want to go there. I don't have to. People say, well, then you're limiting yourself. What about that one? You're limiting yourself.
I want to limit myself.
Yeah, I want to limit myself.
I limit myself by not taking heroin. I limit myself by not doing so many other stupid things.
Yeah. It's like saying you're not driving recklessly. You're limiting yourself. You should live on the edge of the cliff.
Yeah. Yoga means you limit yourself.
Yeah,
right?
we willingly limit ourselves because people ahead of us have shown that there's incredible dangers by messing with this stuff. So we don't want to invite addictive things in our life. Let's face it. Historically, people have ruined their lives, ruined their families, ruined their loved ones, ruined their relationships, ruined their job because they're reckless with their habits. So the yoga system keeps us in the parameters of sattva. It's that simple.
And knowledge is born out of sattva. When the mind, when one is a little bit content, when one's not thinking, I need this and I need that, but one says, okay, I've got what I need. Let me start to focus. Knowledge starts to grow. And what is it? Sattvam jnana vijayate. That knowledge is born out of the sattva guna, out of the mode of goodness.
Lindsay, can you write this on the board? Jnana and vijnana. So jnana we know is Jnana. So that's knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
We're reading books of truth. We're finding knowledge. When we apply that knowledge, we get realization. So
Vijnana.
Vijnana.
Or you could call that wisdom.
Autocorrect says Nana. Yeah, no, Nana means grandmother. Yeah, Jnana. Yeah, you could write with a G sometimes, but or a J, really, truthfully. These are from the Sanskrit alphabet. So really, I think the way it works originally was whoever translated it first, that's the way it's spelled. And then there's an international group of people that decide, no, okay, this word, we're going to spell like this. Did you know that?
Well, then they developed the Sanskrit diacritical marks, and then you have some official.
Yeah.
But
I
otherwise
think
you try to
there
spell
is
it phonetically.
A team of professors or scholars.
Are there?
I think so. That's how they becomes like,
There's a team.
like for example, I think a team.
What are they called?
It's like the varsity.
Who do they play against?
Well, they play in various other schools. No, there's actually, I don't know. Tukaram told me. You know what? If you look at some old books on India, they'll spell Hindu Hindoo.
Or
Jnana with a G.
Jyan.
Yeah. So I think whoever spelled it first, this is how it, and of course there's the translations. Translation, for example, these yoga poses are named after things like Virabhadrasana. So Virabhadra, that was a person from the Bhagavatam, but whoever translated it first, I don't know who it was, maybe Iyengar, they call it just warrior.
Well, because Vira and Bajra, I guess, means good, and
Auspicious,
Veera means like
hero.
like a hero, so a good hero or something like that. And they call it a warrior. Right? But yeah.
But usually, if you,
Yeah,
all these other names
there's
are
more
named
to
after
it.
people of Lord Ram, great
Yeah.
sages. So it's obvious Veerbhadra from the Bhagavatam. Veerbhadra is also named Lord Ram, right? Yeah. But it's sort of like whoever translated it first, warrior.
Okay.
Or sometimes people translate Nataraj. Like there's this yoga pose, Natarajasana, where you grab your leg, you do a back bend. So it's literally translated to mean king of the dancers.
But it means Lord Shiva.
Without even just knowing the culture of India, it means Lord Shiva. So people just say, okay, do King Dancer. King Dancer. King Dancer. It's not King Dancer, it's Lord Shiva. Come on. King Dancer. It's so silly.
Let's dive in.
We're diving in already. Okay. So now, after passion and ignorance go away, Rajas and Tamas, thus establishing the mode of unalloyed goodness without any alloys, unalloyed.
No, not mixed with Rajas or Tamas,
Right.
the lower modes.
Because they mix, like the primary colors mix to make other colors. But when you're an unalloyed goodness, one whose mind has been enlivened by contact with bhakti or devotional service to the Lord, gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. One who's been enlivened by contact with bhakti gains positive scientific knowledge
There's the word Vijnanam.
of Krishna
Tattva Vijnanam.
in the stage of liberation from all material association.
You were just talking about that. Vijnanam.
That's one of our hashtags too. We were just talking about that. I just said that. These are things that we say once a show. I just said that. Kaustubha, what do you think, Kaustubha? In the Gita, let me dip in the purport, please.
Dip.
It is said that out of many thousands of ordinary man, one fortunate one endeavors for perfection. So there's thousands of people.
Yeah.
One can say, you know what? What is the meaning of life? Where are we going with all this? What's the point of this? Why am I working so hard?
Manushanam Sahasreshu. Out of thousands of men, one. Right.
Yeah.
Bhagavad Gita 7.3.
Lindsay, put that on the board, please. 7.3, please.
Bhagavad Gita 7.3.
It's Bhagavad Gita 7.3. It's a great verse. Everyone should. That's a great verse to learn if you're into learning verses. You know that one, Rocco? Come on, Rocco. Don't let me down. You know it? Okay. It's just like, no, don't put me on the hot seat. No hot seat.
I'm never coming back again.
That was the last time I got on the show live. It's going to hot seat me. Out of many. Okay. So mostly people are conducted by the modes of passion and ignorance. And thus they are engaged always in lust, desire, hankering, ignorance, and sleep.
So that went from passion to ignorance, from Rajas to Tamas.
Yeah, lust,
desire, hankerings, that's all Rajas.
Yeah.
Ignorance and sleep, that's Tamas.
Out of many such man-like animals, there is actually a man who knows the responsibility of human life and thus tries to make life perfect by following prescribed duties. And out of thousands of such persons who have attained success in human life, one may know scientifically about the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, 1855, it is also said that scientific knowledge of Sri Krishna is understood by the process of Bhakti-yogi. It says that if you just give your heart to Krishna, Mamana Bhavamad Bhakto, if you give your heart to Krishna and approach Krishna, then he will start to reward you with information about him. That's how you get to know Krishna. You get to know, it's reciprocal. Because Krishna is a living being. He's not a cartoon. You might have seen the cartoon. You might have read the comic book. It's not a comic book. You might have seen some very fruitful, pretty colored picture of Krishna. But Krishna is a reciprocal force, a reciprocal energy personified. And when you make an endeavor for Krishna, guess what? Krishna comes towards you even faster than you're coming towards him. It just happens.
Okay.
Right.
I like it.
Fired up today. You know what? I was not fired up. I just see these smiling faces and I get excited. I was exhausted. I was like, how am I going to do this class? How am I going to do this class? And once I clicked that button, all the faces come on. I'm like, woohoo, woohoo. It just gives me life. I feel bad for Janae Shore, who's got a room with me. It's just... Okay, that's good. Let's go to the text 21. Vidyate hridaya granti.
Hridaya granti.
This is a good word. We could put that in the
Hridaya
board.
granti.
This is the granti, means like the knot in the heart. The
Hridaya means heart, and granti means the knot. So the knot in the heart.
Chidyante sarva samsaya. Shiyanti chasya karmani dristya evat manisvare.
Do we have a knot in our heart?
I do.
Yeah.
You may not.
No, I do.
My knot. It's the knot that ties us to the body.
Mm.
An interesting way to put it, huh? It's a knot that ties us tightly to the body, and thus tightly to our ego that's connected with the body, right? Suppose I get a big cut on my face, a gash, a scar. I think, oh, people don't think I'm beautiful.
Mm.
Now, we even have a common sense, like beauty's skin deep, or there's real inner beauty. But actually, we're actually convinced we are our outer beauty. We're actually deeply convinced that we are a man, we are a woman, and we're not. According to all Vedic teachings, we're spiritual beings. And our beauty on the outside is really just, if you think about it, a thin, very thin glove over
Skin.
A thin glove of skin covering fat and muscle.
And other ingredients.
Bone. Tissues, right? I mean, look at my beautiful face. You see that beautiful thing? Imagine you took a scalpel on this beautiful model's face of mine.
Aditi saying, no, don't do
Don't
it.
do it,
Don't even talk
Prabhu,
about
don't
it.
even talk like this. That was my Aditi imitation. I cut my face and I peel my face back. Oh!
Where are you going?
Then my beautiful face now will be just muscles and
ghastly.
blood. Ghastly. That beautiful face you were adoring a moment ago. Right?
Mm.
So what are you adoring? Well, your face. Oh, here, you want my face here? Rip. Yeah, catch it. You want my face? Here it is. Right? It's actually quite ghastly. All person's beauty is skin deep. It's a thin glove covering a big bloody mess. That's called Sankhya Yoga.
So, okay.
Isn't it interesting though? We'll fall in love. I remember. You want to hear this? I kid you not. I used to think about this stuff when I was 14 years old.
What did you think?
I would think, oh, this girl's so beautiful. Oh, she's so beautiful. And I was like, what if she had no ears? Would she be so beautiful? You know, what makes you think you love this girl? I would actually debate myself. What if she? Well, no, I'd love her without ears. Okay, no ears or no nose. Would you love her then?
Mm.
Do you just love her nose? Do you love her body put together like that? And it made me, even as a teenager, think, what am I loving?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I falling in love with? Just the whole package placed together? And if that's it, it's just a body anyway. And I used to get caught up in this biblical verse that Lindsay knows, I can't remember. But once there's lust involved, it's not love any longer. Once there's lust involved, it's no longer love. It's just some material attraction towards a thing, towards a facade.
Yeah.
That used to haunt me.
It must have taken you to where you are now.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
I think. What do you think about that, Rocco? He's like, don't be embarrassed.
He's ranting again.
He's good. Mm-hmm. Thus, the knot of the heart is pierced, and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions, right? That's what? Karma.
Yes.
The chain of fruitive actions is terminated when one sees the self as master. Want to read that? You want to dip in there?
There's some, at the end of the commentary, he's talking about that exactly. That this enlightenment perfectly enables the devotee, the bhakta, to distinguish spirit from matter because the knot of spirit and matter is untied by the Lord from within. This knot is called ahankara, the false ego. And it falsely obliges a living being to become identified with matter. In other words, there's a force within our mind called the ahankara that is pulling us to identify with the body.
Lindsay Scott just put the biblical verse up on the, in case you're
Yeah.
in case you're a little rusty
Biblically
on your
inclined.
biblical verses, Matthew 5:27. But I say unto you that that whosoever looketh on a woman with lust, on a woman to lust after her, hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Yes.
Boom, Matthew.
Well, that's a whole nother subject, but a really important one. In other words, it's really what's going on in our mind that makes all the difference. What's going on externally is important in how it affects our mind. But in a sense, if you've committed adultery in your mind, because your mind is already there, meditating on it, dwelling on it, you're programming your mind.
It's a good point. It's a great point.
Yoga is all about how we program or reprogram our mind. And if we're fantasizing, then in one sense, it's almost just like doing it because your mind is engaged.
Yes. And Aravind writes, desires make actions, right? Once the thought enters the mind, we want to act on that. And that's why a big part of yoga is not just an external cleanliness. The whole idea of cleanliness is get next to God and godliness. But this is why we chant. This is why there's kirtan. This is why there's japa. It assists in the scrubbing of the mind. And we have to control the mind. We can't let the mind, just like we won't do certain things with our body, or we won't eat certain things with our body, or there have to be, we shouldn't let our mind go to dark thoughts. It has to be brought back. If there's something that is like problematic for you thinking, and you know what it is, I'm not going to mention it because everyone's got their own Maya of choice that they like. You gotta curb the mind. You don't go there. My mind doesn't go there. I'm going to drag my mind back to the self.
Do you know the verse?
Drag the mind back to the self. From wherever the mind wanders to just yato nischalasti manas chanchalam astiram tato yam yaitad at man. Yes.
From wherever the mind,
6:26?
maybe
Something like
definitely
that.
the sixth
Something like
chapter. From wherever the mind may wander due to its flickering and unsteady nature,
one must quickly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self.
well done.
Ashram life. Hashtag ashram life.
Hashtag, there's still a little bit of it there.
There's still something in there. Still something in there. Hey, that was our university.
It was.
That was our university.
Yeah.
We didn't go to university. We lived in an ashram. And
When we were kids, punks didn't go to university.
no, we either were dead or became Hare Krishna monks. That's true. All right. Do you want to comment? Did you want to
I
comment
did.
on this?
Should I continue reading that? Because I thought it was
it's
going
good.
somewhere
It's good.
interesting.
It's going good.
I'll
I
read
think
it
I
quickly
interrupted
again.
with
Yeah.
Matthew or Mark
Right.
or Luke or something.
This enlightenment perfectly enables the devotee to distinguish spirit from matter, because the knot of spirit and matter is untied by the Lord. This knot is called ahankara, the false ego, and it falsely obliges a living being to become identified with matter, to identify with their own body. You could say. As soon as this knot is loosened, therefore, all the clouds of doubt are at once cleared off. One sees his master and fully engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, making a full termination of the chain of fruit of action. In other words, I've been stuck in this mindset, thinking on my body and thinking satisfaction and happiness comes through satisfying the body, through serving the devotees, hearing the Bhagavatam. This knot in my heart has loosened. This tying of my identification to the body has been loosened. I no longer think I need to satisfy the body to be happy. And therefore, the chain of fruit of action, this network of that act for material things and then get caught up in the reactions, all that gets terminated. This knowledge has freed one from this bondage.
So this is karma. This is what we call, some people call it your genetics, your DNA, the yogis call this your karma.
Yeah.
You can find it all. You do your astrological chart. You can find out all your karma, where you came from, where you're going. And it's real. And when one starts to engage in a bona fide yoga system, you're no longer performing karma or vikarma, good or bad reactions, good or bad actions that are going to give you some good or bad results. You're performing what's called akarma or action that gives what?
It's going to talk about.
Just going to talk about that in a moment. I was just saying that.
It says in material existence, a living being creates his own chain of fruit of work and enjoys the good and bad effects of those actions, life after life. But as soon as he engages himself in loving service in bhakti, he at once becomes free from the chain of karma. His actions no longer create any reaction.
Beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful.
Not in the heart.
Mm-hmm. Text 22. Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, it's great how this is 5,000 years ago, and it's speaking about ancient times.
Right.
Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering bhakti to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such bhakti is enlivening to the self.
The heart is freed from that knot. It's how light you feel.
I mean, we're here with 60 people, and what are we doing? We're not doing anything that's like materially fun. We're waking up early. Who wants to wake up early? 6 days a week, 7 days a week, we're waking up early. Going to bed early. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything's regulated. A lot of classes. You got to sit through this and sit through that. We're sitting on the floor. What else are we doing sort of on fun?
I don't know.
I mean, if you look at it like that, it's like it doesn't make like it's not what materialists do for fun.
Right.
But it's what the spiritual, it gives great joy. I mean, every day we're laughing. Every day we're singing. Every day we're jumping up and down. We wind up the night. We don't watch movies. We don't have Netflix, right? We don't. Every night we get together, we sing, we dance, we jump up and down, and then we eat together. It's like actually joyous. It's like this is, we tell stories. This is what you're supposed to do. This is the evening entertainment. You don't need to just, we've dulled it down in the West with, and what is the stuff we're putting in the minds? Generally so much nonsense. Junk food. It's like we're binging on junk food.
Yeah. You know what I love to think about? Like we're here up on this like second, we're kind of up high in this building and we can look over these mountains in India. You can kind of sometimes see them behind us.
It's actually very pretty right now.
Yeah.
The sun is setting. Is the moon right?
Wow, it's almost
Whoa,
full.
this is the night of the moon. Is this the full moon?
I don't think it's full, but the thing's real close.
Can you guys see that out there at the window?
There it is.
Right
Boom.
there. That's a big, gigantic moon.
Which one? Is it behind you or behind me? Which one
I
is it?
don't know. There's two dots. One's a light. One's a light.
Oh, is it that way? Oh, it's that one.
No,
Up there
I
at the
think
top.
it's above my head.
No.
Right here.
Oh, no, he's right.
Yeah.
It's Kaustubha's head.
Okay. There it is. You see it?
You
Now
are
can't see it.
Moonadar,
Now-
Chandradar. You hold the moon on your head like Shiva.
I never knew. But to think that in these Indian villages, and even if you just walk around here, these are traditional Indian villages, that the people, they work hard in the day.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they come back.
Yeah.
They're not watching Netflix.
No, they are.
Are they? They would read Mahabharata together. They would do kirtan together. And actually, all of this entertainment that we've created is kind of like where it's gone. It's just gone for, imagine in like the 30s and 40s, they had radio. And that was kind of like, the family would sit around that radio and kind of enjoy each other's company and listen to the radio and discuss it. Then there was television. It got a little bit more separate. Then people had more than one television in the home and everyone's watching in their separate rooms.
In the old,
Then you had the computers and everybody's like completely in their own
private
box.
in their own rooms. I know, but it's sort of like, in the old days, like, okay, the daughter plays the piano, the son plays
sing
the
a song
violin,
for us. Yeah.
Sing a song. That was entertainment after dinner.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking also when I was a young man, we used to go to India, take these buses around India, these rickety old buses, dangerous roads. There was always filled with 11 women in the back singing songs.
Yeah, they still do it. Or
11, exactly 11. Come on, Mara.
They kicked
off my back.
The 12th one they kicked off. They wouldn't let her on.
Sorry, 11 only. No, it's just like people traveling together, they're all singing songs. Sometimes they do it on the roof of them, right? But it's just the idea of we get together, we sing songs glorifying Krishna or Ram. But I was thinking, we were on a bus the other day. We chartered a bus. You can rent a bus, and we went to Bombay. And the bus to Mumbai. People have been calling it Mumbai for the last 50 years. I'm going to stick with the classical
It's something
British.
cool about calling it Bombay.
you know, yeah. Anyway, my point is that there's a big flat screen TV on the bus.
Was there?
Well, we didn't notice because we were having kirtan the whole time.
Gotcha.
But I was just thinking, India's changed. Since you and I used to come to India, India's changed radically. Radically.
Yeah.
And those songs aren't sung. But as I was mentioning yesterday, it's still in the hearts of the people.
It's there.
Like when you go do kirtan publicly, it's like people lose it.
Right under the surface.
Right under the surface. You don't have to scratch very deep.
Yeah.
And they all want to sing songs to Krishna.
Yeah.
Even in America, I even meet Indians in America. Whenever I meet an Indian in America and I see that they have some name referring to sort of like, my name is Ram Prasad, something like that. All you have to do is have a 3-sentence conversation and they're already, oh, Lord Ram, Lord Ram, Jai Shri Ram. It doesn't take much. What to speak of if you go to the Delhi airport, they're all Mathura Basis.
Yeah.
All Delhi airport, all the cops are Mathura Basis.
All the TSA people, whatever.
Right, Rocco was, he saw Rocco once. Rocco Krishna, he looked at us. I can't remember, Rocco, what happened, but he quizzed you on Ramayan. The guy at security said, you know Ramayan? And Rocco goes, yeah. He goes, you say,
Who's Jatayu?
no, he said, who's Sugriva's brother? Who is Sugriva's brother? And he said, who's Sugriva's brother? Oh, and Rocco just goes, Vali. And the guy goes, oh! Oh! He's so happy that Rocco knew it was his brother.
Nice.
Yeah, it's right under this. It's
so
right under the
satisfying.
surface.
Ramayana is so satisfying. Mahabharata is so satisfying. Bhagavatam is so satisfying. Kirtan is so satisfying.
I want to share a sad story.
Okay.
I was taking off in a plane from pilgrimage one day. I was leaving pilgrimage and I was sitting next to some random man from India, but he was actually living in New Jersey. So we started talking and I understood that he asked me what I was doing and I said I was on pilgrimage. And from his last name, I could tell he was a Brahmana, from Brahmana. I started picking his brain, started talking about Bhagavad Gita. Haven't even left the tarmac. And I said, yeah, I just came back from pilgrimage. We were up at Dev Prayag, and then we took bath in the Ganga, and he started telling me about pilgrimage when he was a child. And I kid you not, we did not even take off. And the man was crying. He was crying, saying, "Oh, Raghunath."
Oh,
It was like that. I kid you. A DDG, hear me out here. Kruti, where's Kruti? Hear me out. This is real stuff. Oh, Raghunath, I have moved to New Jersey. I live in Newark. And my life is filled with so many abominable things.
Mm.
I am so sad. I have given up all dharma, and I do not know what to do. It's almost as if they've sold their soul.
Mm.
It's like a Faustian, what?
I thought that was exactly
Right?
where we started, that there was a promise of happiness.
A Faustian promise. That is where you sell your soul.
Mm.
Like, we're going to go to America. We're going to be rich. It's going to be great. We're going to enjoy. You know what? One devotee from Bombay, a wealthy devotee, travels to America a lot, said, he was giving class in Chowpatty. He said, oh, America is so much Maya. Just driving on the roads are so nice. Everything is landscaped. There's no potholes. This is back 10 years ago, 15 years ago when the roads in India. Now the roads are pretty nice in India too. Some of them. The Yamuna Expressway.
Not bad.
Not bad. All right. Anyway, the idea is that at every step of life, we're going to be asked, do you want to sell your soul for money?
Yeah. And there's a rich culture here. There's a wisdom culture, right? A tradition of wisdom that's told through beautiful stories, that's accompanied with beautiful music and drama and poetry. And it's very satisfying if you get into it. But we give it up for this junk food. It's like health food that tastes really good. And we give it up for junk food.
We're giving it up for junk food. By the way, if you're driving and listening to the show, please be careful. You guys are watching TV, driving an 18-wheeler. What could go wrong? Vegan trucker, what's up? Certainly, therefore, since time immemorial, all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, with great delight, because such devotional service is enlivening to the self. It really is. Text 23. The transcendental personality of Godhead is indirectly associated with the three gunas, or also known as the modes of material nature. That's how Srila Prabhupada the gunas.
Three modes.
If you're a yoga teacher, you've done a yoga teacher training, we learn these as the gunas. The gunas are the way the yogis analyze the material world. They break it into three primary energies: rajas, meaning passion; sattva, meaning regulation or goodness; and tamas, lethargy, ignorance, right? So he says the personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, the higher truth, Krishna, is indirectly associated with these three gunas, namely passion, goodness, and ignorance. And just for the material world's creation, maintenance, and destruction, he accepts these three qualitative forms of Mara, woo,
Vishnu, and Shiva.
Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. Because Brahma's in charge of Mara, creating. Shiva, Tom, is in charge of
Destruction.
Okay.
Did you tell him?
The guy in the cave the other day.
Okay, that's right. The guy in the cave told us. And Vishnu for maintenance. Of these three, all human beings can derive ultimate benefit from Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness.
Of goodness.
It's nice, huh? You want to read? Want to dip?
Okay. Dip on in there.
You dip.
Okay. If I dip, will you dip?
If you dip, I dip, we dip.
Lord Sri Krishna, that Lord Sri Krishna, by his plenary parts, should be that Lord Sri Krishna.
I always do that. Like, you put the action in the wrong place.
Yeah.
It sounds like a whole different sentence.
That Lord Sri Krishna, by his plenary parts, should be rendered devotional service, as explained above, is confirmed by this statement. Lord Sri Krishna and all his plenary parts are Vishnu tattva. That means he, in a sense, you could say expands or reproduces in other forms. And they're all Vishnu tattva. They're all of his same category. In other words, that
you know, it might be good to explain Vishnu tattva. Would you like to do that? Sure. Write that on the board, Lindsay Scott. Vishnu tattva. Tattva.
So, tattva means like a truth, but in this context, we might understand as like a category of truth. And so so there are different types of living beings. For instance, there's Vishnu tattva. That means that the source of all of the incarnations of God is this form, this boy, Sri Krishna, and that his only interest is loving adventures. He's not interested in judging. He's not even interested in the creation and the maintenance of the universes and all that. He can expand himself into more forms. And those forms are also Vishnu tattva in the sense that they're never covered by the material energy. They are him, just in another form. So they're all of the same Vishnu category. Then the living beings like us, we're called Jiva tattva. We're of a different category. We're called that marginal energy, that we are spiritual, but sometimes we get a little covered by the material energy. So that's called Jiva tattva. Then there's Shakti tattva. That's the female divine energy that also emanates from Krishna. And it's called the Hladini Shakti sometimes, or the pleasure-giving potency. So there are a couple other tattvas as well. You know, the Shiva tattva, and there's things like Guru tattva, different truths about how to understand it gets philosophical and sometimes it gets a bit esoteric, but there's a science behind all of this that's laid out in the Bhakti text. It's not all just a sentimental kumbaya.
It's not kumbaya.
Sing around the campfire. It's like there's a lot of dense philosophy to it.
So when we speak of God, personality of Godhead, Ram, Nrsimha, Vishnu, Narayan,
many different
Krishna.
Vishnu forms. Yeah.
This is all
Vishnu tattva.
tattva.
Vishnu tattva.
It's all God. Then we speak of the demigods, Brahma, Indra.
Usually Jiva tattva.
Jiva tattva. Humans, we're Jiva tattva. That means we have a body, and our bodies will deteriorate.
Well, and we're individual souls we have our connection to God. We're made of the same energy of God, but we're independent, we're individual, and we have the potential to be covered. Sometimes it's said like the beach. Sometimes the water is on top of it. Sometimes the water recedes.
Well, I like that.
Yeah. So sometimes we're covered by the material energy, and that same material energy can recede and we can become free.
I like that.
All right. Should I continue?
Yeah.
So that Lord Sri Krishna, by his plenary parts, should be rendered devotional service as explained above is confirmed by this statement. Lord Sri Krishna and all his plenary parts are Vishnu tattva, or the Lordship of Godhead. From Sri Krishna, the next manifestation is Baladev. Who's Baladev?
Yes, me. Who's Balaram?
Yeah, I mean, that's
Balaram.
Balaram.
Krishna's brother.
Krishna's brother.
In Vishnu, in Krishna's Leela, he's Krishna's older brother,
That's
Balaram.
right. From Baladev is Sankarshan, another incarnation. From Sankarshan is Narayan. This is the four-arm form of the Lord. From Narayan, there is a second Sankarshana, and from Sankarshana, the Vishnu Purusha avatars. Anyway,
We're actually going to get into all this in the second canto.
Purusha avatars is fascinating. How Lord Vishnu penetrates in three different ways into the material realm, including within the heart of every living being.
It's sort of how the candle lights a candle, lights a candle, lights a candle. It's all one candle, and it's all completely different as well.
Yeah. The flame is of the same quality, but it's taking on different roles. That Vishnu, or the deity of the quality of goodness.
Oh, I like that. But it's taking on different roles. I'm going to use that analogy.
Okay.
Right? Because I could light a lantern.
Yeah.
I could light a firecracker.
Mm-hmm.
I could light a stove.
Mm-hmm.
There, it's all fire. It's the same fire,
but
it's taking on different roles.
Yeah.
Nice, Kaustubha.
You know, one interesting thing is to think of this. And I had a great experience not so long ago when I had a bunch of kids over at the Bhakti Center, and I was showing them a presentation, a slideshow presentation. But we talked about how the soul, the Atma within our bodies, how it spreads its consciousness throughout the entire body. So if someone comes and they touch you right here, you feel it. If someone touches your toe, you feel it, because your consciousness from the Atma has spread there. And then I talked about the three different manifestations of the absolute truth, or of God, like we discussed the other day here.
Yeah.
And one of them being that God's energy is spread throughout the entire universe. And this child said, that means that God is the Atma of the universe. And I said, you got it. Because great acharyas like Ramanuja Acharya write on this, you know, that like, just like our soul gives life to our body. Without the presence of the soul in the body's just dead. But the Atma comes in and it gives it life. It spreads its consciousness throughout and gives it life. Similarly, Lord Vishnu, as one of the Purusha avatars, enters into the material world, gives it life, enters into each individual universe, gives it life, and also enters into each living being, into the body of each living being. It's a beautiful way to think about it.
It's a great way to think about it. Genius.
And when you know, there's these different mantras that we chant, the Gayatri mantra, and the first one of the Gayatri mantras is about the sun.
Right.
But one way that the Vaishnavas, the devotees of Krishna, meditate on it is they meditate on the Paramatma when they chant that mantra. That the Paramatma is like the sun spreading its presence
Rays.
throughout. Yeah, spreading its presence throughout the heart or throughout the universe.
I'm trying to figure out why Noah, Scylla, and Ananda Mohini are watching. They're watching the show in their rooms and not here live with us. They've all the students have boycotted us today.
They're smart.
Okay. Firewood. Should I go on? 24?
Sure. Text 24.
How's our time there, Mara?
8 minutes.
All right. We've got 8 minutes of joy here. Firewood is a transformation of earth, but smoke is better than raw wood. A fire is still better, for by fire we can derive the benefits of superior knowledge through Vedic sacrifices. Similarly, rajas is better than ignorance, or tamas. But goodness, sattva, is best, because by goodness one can come to realize the absolute truth. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
It's sort of not a challenge, but okay. People say goodness lets you realize the absolute truth, but we see so many people who went to a 12-step recovery. And because their lives were so riddled with tamas, addiction, slave to their senses, slave to their body, due to that addiction and due to that tamas, they find God. Very often. I mean, in a recovery program, which is God-based. Why then are they giving the credit to sattva? Because they're saying from sattva, you find God. You think about that?
Well,
Kaustubha.
I think I have several thoughts about it. One is that it helps us understand that actually everything is working towards our liberation if we know how to understand it, even those darkest times, right? Like in one sense, if we see everything in connection with that absolute truth or with God, then even the darkest times of our life become great blessings. Even the tamasic times can become a great blessing. But to get out of it, they have to get out of the tamas.
You know,
So,
I just in my mind, I answered the question. They're
Yeah.
actually, when they're getting out of it, they're not in tamas anymore.
Yeah, they have to desperately grab, and all that thought that is there in the 12 steps.
Yeah.
That is all pure sattvic thoughts.
Right.
And they're embracing that pure sattvic thought, and then have to embrace pure sattvic habits.
Yep.
And they have to embrace with people that are cultivating sattva. So ultimately, sattva is the only way out for them.
Yeah. You know what? As soon as I asked the question, I was like, wait a second, I think I've answered that
It's a
question.
good
But
question,
it's a good question, though.
Yeah.
Because it's not the tamas that's giving them God.
Right.
It's the tamas that's killing them.
It's making them desperate to get out of tamas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As explained above, there's a little dip in the purport. As I explained above, one can get released from the conditioned life. You know what? I'm not going to call it the dip anymore. I'm going to call it the treasure chest.
Okay.
Dipping into the treasure chest.
Yeah.
As explained above, one can get released from the conditioned life of material existence by bhakti. It is further comprehended herein that one has to rise to the platform of the mode of goodness, sattva, so that one can be eligible for bhakti. But if there are impediments on the progressive path, anyone, even from the platform of tamas, can gradually rise to sattva platform by the expert direction of the spiritual master. Since candidates must therefore approach an expert spiritual master for such progressive march, and the bona fide expert spiritual master is competent to direct a disciple from any stage of life, tamas, rajas, or sattva.
I think tomorrow we go into that in detail, maybe, huh?
I good. I think
we've been talking about doing it.
We've been talking about it, and it's something that has to be fully understood for
otherwise, as we continue to read, it's just going to be confusing.
Yeah. It is a mistake, therefore, to consider that the worship of any quality, of any form of the personality of Godhead is equally beneficial. Except Vishnu, all separated forms are manifested under the conditions of material energy, and therefore the forms of material energy cannot help anyone rise to the platform of sattva, which alone can liberate a person from the material bondage. So I think Prabhupada's referring to the demigod worship, which isn't, it's not like in America people even have any clue of worshiping demigods. Unless they get into the yoga community, and then they're like, yeah, it's sort of like, I don't know. Let's pray to all of them. If I pray to all of them, I'll cover all my bases. It's just like.
But what they may do is approach their God with the same mentality, which is approach God for the things of
Christian God,
with the idea of please give me the things of this world.
Sure,
that's, right, which is
that's
largely what the demigod worship is all about.
The uncivilized state of life, or the life of the lower animals, is controlled by tamas. The civilized life of a man, with a passion for various types of material benefits, is the stage of rajas. So, I just read the book. Sorry. So here's the lowest stage of life, tamas, is like we are living like animals, just based on eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Mm-hmm. That's tamas. And civilized, when you get a little bit more civilized of passion, you want benefits. You want like, okay, how can I work in order to get something? It gives a slight clue to realization of the absolute truth in the forms of fine sentiments, in philosophy, art, culture, with moral and ethical principles. But the mode of sattva, or goodness, is still a higher stage of material equality, which actually helps one in realizing the absolute truth. I think Prabhupada was being gracious when he said, because that is, you have art, you have music, the music that we grew up with, mm-hmm. and literature that wasn't.
There's some tamasic stuff.
It was
there.
Pretty tamasic. It wasn't. The philosophy was dark. The music was dark. The culture itself was dark. Anyway, in other words, there's a qualitative difference between different kinds of worshiping methods, as well as respective results derived from the predominating deities, namely Brahma, Vishnu, or Hara.
Hara.
Hara. Hooray for Hara. Hara is Lord Shiva. So
So let's get into the gunas tomorrow. Let's
okay.
fluff it out a little bit.
The gunas tomorrow, and it's this worship of Vishnu that ultimately starts to lead us towards our liberation. That's what sort of I think how Prabhupada is winding that up and stressed it. That's what he was stressing at the end.
There we go.
Uh-oh. It is time. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be here again tomorrow. I wonder what we should name this program.
What program? Oh, this one?
This one.
We had a good one in the beginning, didn't we? What was that?
The Knot of the Heart.
The Knot in the Heart, I think.
Pretty good. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Zoom people, thank you. My kids, I missed you. I love you. That's for my kid, no one else. Bolo!
Maharaj really took over. Chitta Gopi?
Krishna Bolo.